Good morning. Welcome to Books by Ivan. My name is Ivan and I read books. Today is the final video of the book that I'm currently covering, The River Between. After that, we will dive into the incredible mind of Fyodor Dostoevsky. So until then, let's focus back on The River Between and let's go into a recap of the last video. How do you guys like the title of the last video? The last video I titled it, Is It Better to Speak or to Die? The reason I did that is because the elders kept on asking Woah I what he would do with the daughter of Joshua. I think her name is Nyambura. I've been mispronouncing their names, I'm positive. But the elders kept on asking, right? Are you going to marry her? What will you do? But he kept silent. So I thought about, is it better to speak or to die? If you know the movie, you know. And in that movie, the poet, in fact, did not speak. He died. And hopefully, Woah I doesn't die. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable, grab a cup of coffee. This is the final video of The River Between. This is chapter 24. One evening, a few days later, Kinuthia burst into Woah I's hut. He looked worried and glanced back over his shoulder as if expecting some people to follow him. Woah I, he breathed out. What is it, Kinuthia? Woah I asked. He felt frightened. He had never seen Kinuthia like this before. What have you done? Who? The Kiyama. What? They are spreading rumors that you're no longer a teacher. Oh. There was a little silence. Woah I recovered from the momentary shock and said with a forced calmness, please sit down. Where did you hear this? It is being whispered. You know how news spreads. Kamo told me the Kiyama removed you from your job. You were in league with the white man. Woah I felt bitter that the elders for whom he had struggled should turn against him so. And how do the people take it? He asked. I don't know. I think not all the people have heard. When did they do this to you? Woah I felt a sharp pain in that last question. He felt as if Kinuthia was one of the conspirator. To me, they cannot remove me from the job. It is not their responsibility. It is only the school committee who can do it. I really know nothing about this. Then he described to Kinuthia the events of the night he had been called to Mukuyu. Perhaps I was wrong to let anger and passion get the better of me. The girl does not even love you. This is all Kaboni is doing. He hates you. Oh, you don't know how? Look, Woah I think something is happening tonight. Kamo hinted something about going to Joshua's household tonight. I don't know, but a young man might do something bad. They think it is Nyambura who has corrupted you. Wait, what did it want to do? I don't know, but I think it might be something rough. And they will not stop at that. They might come to you, for they say you have broken the oath. You have given away the secrets, so you must flee the land. Fly to Nairobi. I tell you again, Kaboni is after you and he will get you. He has a new influence with the elders. They cannot resist his power. The man has no roots anywhere where he talks of ancient prophecies about a savior. He is that savior, he says. Woah I rose. He remembered that Chegi had told him that it was only Kaboni who knew of the ancient prophecy. Perhaps that was why Kaboni hated him. But now he knew there was no time to lose. His mind was made up. He had to go and warn Joshua. Thank you, Kinuthia, but I must go. Where? To Mukuyu, I must warn Joshua. Violence must not break out among the people. Oh, not now. No, teacher. I must go. But you cannot. They will have an excuse to try you as a traitor. if they get to know of this. Kinuthia? Yes. You remember you and I have grown up together. Yes, Kinuthia could remember more than Ryaki could guess. Then do not stop me. Ryaki's voice was calm. Do not think that I am not grateful about your concern so much. You're the only man I can now trust, but we cannot allow this to happen to Joshua through the madness of one person. Maybe I have not done all that I should have done for the tribe. I do not want to bring you into this. Don't come with me. If you stay here, I'll come back and we shall talk. I will tell you of my plans. Kinuthia did not argue. He could detect the firmness behind the calmness of Oyaki. Yet, he could still see that there was an agitation in the eyes of the teacher. He let Oyaki go, but he did not remain in the hut. He too went out and followed the teacher up the Honya River. Oyaki climbed up the slope, hoping fearfully that he might be in time to warn them. He tried to run up the ridge towards Joshua's house. He had never been there before. Even from afar, he could hear them singing. Indeed, Christmas was near. The Christians were keeping their watch by night, like those shepherds of old. When Ryaki entered, breathless, everyone stopped and looked at him. To them, he was a strange apparition. For a few minutes, there was a silence as Ryaki tried to recover his breath. But he now felt foolish. What had he come to warn them against? What was he to tell these men of Joshua who sat around the table, singing to heavens, waiting for Christ? I'm sorry to interrupt your meetings, but I think you are in danger. They may want to do something to you tonight, or another day. Who? Several voices asked. Kaboni and his men, Nikiyama. I don't know what you can do, but do not tell us what we can do, Joshua roared. He stood up and glared at Ryaki. This is all lies. The two men faced each other for the first time. The other watched fascinating, fearing, wondering. Go out of my house. So you come back to entice the only daughter that is left to me. I have never forgotten what you did to Matoni. It was the first time that Joshua had publicly mentioned her death. Ryaki felt hurt, as if this rejection of his well-meant warning had suddenly brought home to him the death of the barrier between him and Joshua. Perhaps nothing will ever remove it. In that moment too, he understood why Nyambura had refused him, yet he felt himself ridiculed and humiliated before these people, before the girl he loved. He had seen Nyambura sitting beside Miriamu. Niwega, I have done my duty. I was only trying to save you from danger. It was scary, a slight tremor. Save yourself first. Save yourself from the wrath to come. Why do you, who have always worked against the people of God, want in my house? Ryaki certainly turned his back on them and opened the door to go out. The light from the house shone on him, a lone figure facing the darkness outside. As Kamo and his foreman, luring the outer darkness, saw him, they gasped with fear and unbelief. Kamo did not know what Ryaki had gone so far in his betrayal of the people, and he became convinced that Ryaki was the greatest enemy of the tribe. He could not know Captain Nyambura that Kiyama had ordered them. No, he would go back and report this to Kiyama. That was no longer a personal battle, but a war between tribe and Ryaki. Nyambura had seen Ryaki's entrance. She read sorrow and agitation in his face. Her heart jumped with excitement. There stood her man. There stood Ryaki, the teacher, her black messiah, sent from the heavens after Matoni's death to come and rescue her from disintegration. And she knew the man loved her. She had heard it from his own lips. Since then, she had thought about him day and night. It did not matter if her father forbade her standing with him. Joshua could control her body, but he could not control her heart. And so, day by day, she walked with him, touching and holding him to herself in her own ways. She lived in a dream. She was always with Ryaki, yet sometimes the separation pained her. It hurt her and at times made her cry, for she too yearned for him and wanted him to be near her all the time. She cried, Ryaki, you are mine, come back to me, but he did not come. Her duty to her parents stood between him and her. A religion of love and forgiveness stood between them. No, It could never be a religion of love. Never, never. The religion of love was in the heart. The other was Joshua's own religion, which ran counter to her spirit and violated love. If the faith of Joshua and Livingstone came to separate, why? It was no good. It was. If it. I'm sorry. It was not good. If it came to stand between a father and his daughter, so that her death did not move him, then it was inhumane. She wanted death, or she wanted other, the order that held together, the order that united. The voice that long ago said, "Come unto me, all we can that labor and are heavy laden, laden. It's spelled Laden, laden. Come unto me, all we that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Soothed her, and she wanted to hear it again and again as she lay near the Ionia River and listened to the throb which echoed the secret beating of her heart. And she remembered. That was her religion. That was what she now wanted for her tribe. It was faith that would give life and peace to all. So she clung to this now, and she prayed that Woah I will come back to her. He came, not when she expected him, but she was ready for him, and she was glad. She, however, feared for him. Maybe that was why her heart jumped. That was why sometimes strange settled in her bowels, giving her both pain and pleasure. She looked at the two men standing face to face. She saw her Woah I being humiliated, her obedience to her father fought with her love for Woah I, and alas, when he turned his back, rejected, she stood up. Her voice was clear and almost commanding. Teacher, Woah I stop, come back. Woah I obeyed, yet it was all like a dream. Even Joshua was shocked to silence to think that she had actually called him the teacher. The teacher is not telling a lie. You, how can you know that little rebel? I know. Last week Kama wanted me to marry him. I refused. He said he would compel me or do something worse. He said I was in his power and he was the only person who could save. Joshua fumed with fury. He could not let her finish, and Woah I was still in a dream, but still he was hurt, and burning anger was urging him to go out. Outside he heard a faint noise. At first he had seemed distant, but now he could hear some words: teacher, traitor, or heavy dejection came over Woah I. He knew now that he was not wanted by them in spite of all he had done for the hills. And the words of his father came back to him. But the rejected Mughal, his thin boy's voice had quivered, had curried. Let them do what they like. A time will come when they shall cry for a savior. Had a time come? Was Kaboni the savior they were crying for? And what would Kaboni do? He would only destroy what Woah I had built. But no, he could not. Surely there was a soul, a heart, where at least what Woah I had done had taken root. And the teachers who were coming, they would carry on the work. The voices singing death became louder and louder. He thought they were coming toward Joshua's house. He went back to the hut to make one more desperate appeal. Be careful, they may be coming here. Go out from here. Get thee behind me, Satan. Joshua was fierce. He hated a young man with the hatred which a man of God has towards Satan. I am so sorry. The wind is going like insane right now. I'm sure you guys can hear that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys can hear that. I'm gonna reduce like background noise as much as I can, but I can't make promises that it will all go away. Just, that's the wind. It's like howling out there. But anyways, let's get back to reading. Joshua was fierce. He hated the young man with a hatred which a man of God has towards Satan. There was another murmur in the room, then silence reigned as Nyumbura walked across toward Wayaki while all eyes watched her. Wayaki and Joshua must have both been struck by her grace and mature youthfulness. She held Wyaki's hand and said that no other girl at the time would have dared to say what she herself could not have done a few days before. You are brave and I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about to be a massacre. An absolute massacre. So many people are going to die in these last chapters. Oh. But she confessed. She did confess in front of her father, in front of the people. She did. Now, what will Joshua do? Joshua woke up from his stupor. He would never have thought that this meek, quiet, and obedient daughter could be capable of such an action. He rushed toward her and was about to lay his hand on her when he realized that this was another temptation brought to him by Satan. Christ and he must triumph at this hour of trial. Waki and Nyambura were standing near the door. For me and my house we will serve the Lord, Joshua declared, pointing at Nyambura with forefinger of his right hand. You are not my daughter, yet let me warn you, he continued, his voice changing from one of fiery anger to one of calm sorrow. You will come to an untimely end. Go. As if in a dream, Wayaki and Nyambura were not. Miriam was weeping and saying, don't let her go. Don't. While the other remained silent, wondering what curse had befallen Joshua's house. Darkness still blanketed the land. Above the star had gone out except for one or two. Nyambura had never rebelled before, not with deliberation. This was her first act of rebellion, and she now knew that she was beyond the grasp of Joshua. The call of the inner voice that urged her on, the call of the land beyond Joshua's confiding hand was too strong. Please, Nyambura, go back to your father. Eki played as soon as they had gone to figure from the house, and they were swallowed by the darkness, but she will not. And the voice that denounced him as a traitor rang through the darkness, where I can remember what King Uther had told him. And then he came at first a small urge, and he became stronger and stronger, so that there was a real struggle in Wyaki's soul. The insistent voice inside him told him to run and go to Nairobi. You have known the object of your heart desire, and they have rejected you. Run to Nairobi, and live there happily with Nyambura. And why not? Had he not brought light to the hills, awakening the sleeping lions so that now they could shout, traitor? Then he felt ashamed of himself. He could not run away. His father's word again glowed before him. Salvation shall come from the hills. A man must rise and serve the people in their hour of need. He shall show them a way. He shall lead them. Wayaki and Nyambura now stood on a piece of raised ground overlooking the Honya River. They were near Keboni's house, and that was where the voice came from. He felt frightened, and his resolution not to run away wavered. He turned to the girl beside him in a subtle voice and said, death awaits you there. She took his hand and pressed it slightly. Wayaki blood warm, and he felt as if he could be carried away by the wave of desire and emotion that shook his whole being. Oh, teacher, I've always loved you. I'll go where you go. Don't leave me now. God, this is like a red flag. This is red flag. Next thing I know, she's gonna die. They're all gonna die. If she dies, I'm ending the book. Wayaki held her against his breast. Then they slowly descended the Mukuyu Ridge till they came to their sacred ground. Let's sit down, he whispered. They lay on the grass, and the Honya River went on with a throb. Wayaki and Nyambura did not hear it, for as strong as throbbed heart trending, was sweeping over their bodies, their soul joined into one stillness so still that their breathing seemed to belong to another world apart from them. When they rose to go, a new strength had come to Wayaki. Even Kinuthia, who had gone back to wait for him in the hut, was surprised more of the brightness on their faces than at the fact of their being together. Indeed, Wayaki felt his yearning soul soothed by the healing presence of this girl. Yet, he knew that he would be forced to make a choice between the girl and the tribe. Tonight he felt something to say to the people, but he did not know what. He wanted a rest, time to make a silent inquiry into his heart. His father's image came back to him vividly. He remembered that journey into the sacred grove, and he said loudly, "I shall go there tomorrow." "Where?" Kinuthia asked. Wayaki was shaken into the present by the last question. He felt he could not explain his journey even to Kinuthia. Yet, just now he felt his father's presence everywhere in the room, in the darkness outside. This feeling was as real to him as the presence of Nyambura, who had fallen asleep on his bed. She was very exhausted, but she felt at peace. To the hills south of Camino, to the sacred grove. To the sacred grove, yes, it is a long story. And now he told Kinuthia about it. The journey with his father, the ancient prophecy, and his bewilderment and its meaning. And Kinuthia sat mouth open. A new veneration for Wayaki grew upon him. It was as if Wayaki was a revelation, a thing not of this earth. "Look here, Kinuthia," Wayaki said after a long silence. Do something for me. Tomorrow I must speak to the people just before the sunset. Call a meeting at Honya River on the initiation ground. It is flat there. Get some people to help you spread the news on every hill. I'll fight it out with Kaboni in the open. For Kinuthia, I cannot run away. New thoughts are coming into my mind. Things I might have done and said. Oh, there are so many things I did not know. I had not seen that the new awareness wanted expression of a political level. Education for an oppressed people is not all, but I must think. I must be alone. Still, they talked far into the night, and Kinuthia listened to Wayaki's plan and felt himself inspired to new effort and transport to new height. "I will never leave you," he cried. "Whatever the others do, I will be with you all the way." "Thank you, Kinuthia. Let us wait until tomorrow." The final face-off between Wayaki and Kaboni, the traitor, the individual that should not be alive, the old, wrinkly, annoying elder. Now, let's see what happens. Let's freshen up. And to be kind of honest, there's 2 chapters left. This one was fairly long, as you could tell, because it took about 24 minutes for me to completely read a single chapter. So 2 chapters left, chapter 25 and chapter 26, and hopefully, this much page left. That's about what, 10. Hopefully we get the ending that we all want, that I want, that Wayaki ends up being happy. Okay, the elder, he goes and gets taken away by the Honya River or something. I don't really get what happened to the elder, to be honest. But as long as Wayaki gets the ending that we want, not La La Land ending. If he gets the La La Land treatment, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be really pissed. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to reading. This is chapter 25. He felt a dull pain inside his heart. He was weary. The country was below him again, but did not have so much power over him as when he had stood there a child with his father. The sun was up, and he could not see Kirinyaga, and the sacred grove seemed to be no more than an ordinary bush clustering around a fig tree. But there was something strange about the tree. It was still huge, and there was a firmness about it that would forever defy time, that indeed seemed to scorn changing weather. And Wayaki wondered how many people before him had stood there where he now was. How many had indeed come to pay homage to this tree, the symbol of a people's faith in a mysterious power ruling the universe and the destiny of man. And now he felt that mystery gradually enveloping him. But for him now the mystery was that of darkness clouding his heart. That was where, in his loneliness, he struggled with strange forces, forces that seemed to be destroying him. He wondered why he had come here. He wondered what answers he had hoped to find to the unformulated question in his mind. Even Yambura had faded from the reality around him and was no longer a consolation, but the reality around him, around his heart, was one of despair because he was aware that he was fighting against a force that he himself did not understand, forces that he felt in the air all over the country, and he was afraid. Perhaps he was running away from what he did not understand because he feared. What had he awakened in the hills? He had remembered Kinuta telling him, "Your name will be your ruin." Wayaki stared at the country below him as if he were saying nothing below the calm of the hills were strange stirring. He had brought all this trouble. Wayaki blamed himself. He felt that things had really begun to go wrong from the time of the great meeting, the time when they all declared him the teacher. Since then, the rifts between the various factions had widened, an attempt by Kiyama to burn people's house and the threat to Joshua and his followers were all expression of that widening gulf. Perhaps he should not have resigned from Kiyama, he told himself over and over again. What if he had made his stand clear at that meeting? That was now a lost opportunity. He had to reckon with the present. Still, he wondered if he had not betrayed the tribe he had meant to unite, the tribe he had wanted to save, the people he had wanted to educate, giving them all the benefits of the white man's coming. For Wayaki knew that not all the ways of the white man were bad. Even his religion was not essentially bad, some good, some truth shone through it. But the religion, the faith, needed washing, cleaning away all the dirt, leaving only the eternal. And that eternal was the truth. Had to be reconciled to the tradition of the people. A people's tradition could not be swept away tonight. That way lay disintegration. Such a tribe will have no roots, for a people's roots were in tradition going back to their past, the very beginning. Kikuyu and Mumbi, a religion that took no count of people's way of life, a religion that did not recognize spots of beauty and truth in their way of life, was useless. It would not satisfy. It would not be a living experience, a source of life and vitality. It will only maim a man's soul, making him fanatically cling to whatever promised security. Otherwise, he would be lost. Perhaps that was what was wrong with Joshua. He had clothed himself with religion, decorating and smeared with everything white. I personally think that is what Joshua did. Okay, he's like a decoration. He renounced his past and got himself away from those life-giving traditions of the tribe, and because he had nothing to rest upon, something rich and firm on which to stand and grow, he had to cling with his hand to whatever the missionary had promised the future. I agree. I highly agree. Because it's human nature, okay? We want to believe in something. As long as we have a strong belief in something, we assume that everything is fine. So I strongly agree with this entire paragraph. Weaki wondered if he himself fitted anywhere. Did Kaboni, which of the two was the Messiah? The man who was to bring hope in salvation to a troubled people. But how could a man be a savior when he himself had already lost that contact with the past? Bethany had tried. Hers was a search for salvation for herself. She had the courage to attempt a reconciliation of the many forces that wanted to control her. She had realized her need to have a wholesome and beautiful life that enriched you and made you grow. His father, too, had tried to reconcile the two ways, not in himself but through his son. Weaki was a product of that attempt. Yes, in the quietness of the hills, Weaki had realized many things. Circumcision of women was not important as a physical operation. It was what it did inside a person. It could not be stopped overnight. Patience and, above all, education was needed. If the white man's religion made you abandon a custom and then did not give you something else of equal value, you became lost. An attempt at resolution of the conflict would only kill you, as it did Methoni. Weaki now thought it was time to go. The sacred grove had no little way from him. He did not quite know where he was going, or what he really wanted to tell his people. He was still in the dark. He remembered Nyambura and wondered how she was feeling being in his hut. For a moment he was gripped by terror and hated himself for having left the hut. What if they had come and taken her by force? What if Joshua had gone to report him to the government post? He again wondered if he should not run away, and as he descended the hills, he cast his eyes beyond. He had a vision of many possibilities and opportunities there, away from the hills. Maybe one day he would go there. Maybe one day he would join forces with the men from Uranga, Kiambu, and Yeri, and with one voice tell the white men go. And all at once, Weaki realized that the rages wanted. All at once, he felt more forcefully than he had ever felt before. The shame of a people's land being taken away. The shame of being forced to work on those same lands. The humiliation of paying taxes for a government that you knew nothing about. Yes, the Kiama was right. People wanted action now. The stirring of the hills were an awakening to the shame and humiliation of their condition. Their isolation had been violated, but what action was needed? What had he to do now? How could he organize people into political organization when they were so torn with strife and disunity? Now he knew what he would preach if he ever got another chance. Education for unity, unity for political freedom. For a time, this vision made his heart glow with expectation and new hope. He quickened his descent, wishing to come to the people and communicate his new vision. Education, unity, political freedom. And then came the doubt. What if they should ask him to give up Nyambura? What if he did not want to think about it? He would fight for unity, and Nyambura was an integral part of that battle. If he lost Nyambura, he too would be lost. He was fighting for his salvation. Many people had come to the meeting ground. There were women and children and old men who were bewildered by the urgent call they had received from Kinuthia's messenger. And they came because they wanted to hear what their teacher had to say, and because they had heard things which they could not believe. Most still clung to the vision of the teacher they knew, the teacher whom they trusted, in whom they believed, a man they could always follow anywhere. How could they believe that he would betray them? How could they believe the story about him marrying an uncircumcised girl, the daughter of Joshua, the enemy of the people? Wayaki had awakened them to a new vision, new desire, new aspiration. He had restored to them their dignity as a tribe and had given them the white man's education when the missionary had wanted to deny them the wisdom. Wayaki had been too clever for them. He had taken an oath of loyalty to the purity of the tribe, that he had been an example to all. Could he then go against the oath? Could he? They waited patiently. The suns hit on their bare heads, sweat rolled down their backs, and still they waited. And Kiboni was there, and the elders of Kiama and the young men of the tribe, and all waited for Wayaki to come. They nursed their secret thoughts to their hearts, and they looked forward to his arrival. And they knew that this was the day of trial, initiation. The day would be tomorrow, on this very ground, and tonight would be the night of singing and dancing. Joshua and his follower would sing tonight to their Christ was going to be born tonight. But at the meeting, nobody sang, nobody danced. They waited to hear what the teacher would say. And Kaboni and some of the elders sat in the ground separately and trembled with their secret knowledge. Let the people wait. Kaboni was determined to win or die. God, I'm really starting to hate this guy. For he knew that his victory was the victory of the tribe. The tribe was now threatened by Wayaki, and he hated Wayaki intensely and identified his hatred with the wrath of the tribe against impurity and betrayal. To him, then, this was not a personal struggle, it was a continuation of what struggle that had always existed between Mukuyu and Camino. For leaders from Camino had failed, they had only betrayed people. The rages would now rise and cry vengeance. Kuboni felt himself the instrument of that vengeance. He was the savior for whom the people waited. Not that Kuboni knew exactly where he would lead the people, for he too was grappling with forces awakening the people. How could he understand that the people did not want to move backward, that the rage no longer desired their isolation? How could he know that the forces that drove people to yearn for a better day tomorrow, that none gave a new awareness to the people, were like demons sweeping the whole country, as Mugo had said, from one horizon touching the sea to the other horizon touching the water? The sun was going down and people stirring in impatience. Some people, among whom were a group of Joshua's followers, stood on the hills. They had not yet descended. Miriam was there. She too thought something was going to happen, and she wept for her daughter. And she wept too because she knew she was weak and she could not do anything. And suddenly the people who stood on the hills or up the slopes saw big yellow flames emanated by the setting sun. The flames seemed near and far, and the trees in the country were caught in the flames. They feared. Kinuthia too feared, and for a time he had a momentary glimpse of Wayaki and Yambura caught on his flame. And he cried and blamed himself because he had failed Wayaki. Yambura had been stolen from Wayaki hut, and he knew that she was in the hands of Kuboni and Akiyama. How could he communicate this to Wayaki? How would Wayaki take it? He decided to let Wayaki face the crowd and fight the battle unhampered by his fear for Nyambura. Then from somewhere people began to sing, "He has gone, traitor." Kinuthia trembled and wondered if Wayaki would not turn up. If he did not, then Kinuthia's life would be in danger, for the people's wrath would turn against him. He sweated with fear as the people cried, "Seek him out." It was Kaboni and his follower who were shouting, "Traitor." The crowd was big and more people were coming. Then there was a whisper which made everybody rise with excitement. The teacher. Then they sat down again and let Wayaki pass. His head and broad shoulder indeed caught against the yellow beam. that passed through the trees, and he looked powerful and beautiful. And there were tents on both sides of the Honya River. Great hush fell over the land as he strolled toward a raised piece of ground where the Kiyama sat, where his destiny would be decided. Okay, we are about to go into the last chapter of the book. This is, I can just feel this is about to be peak. This last chapter, I can't really see, but chapter 26, it's about to be peak fiction right here. Or is it non-fiction? Sorry. Let me get prepared. I want to know what would happen. Because if the old, retired, wrinkly, bald-headed elders are stubborn and doesn't want to let Woah I make the tribe better, this book is meeting my flamethrower. I don't have a flamethrower, but this book, I'm never gonna touch it again after this. So, if the ending disappoints me, I'm never touching this book again. That's what I'm saying. So this ending better be good. Chapter 26 is okay. Well, it is not that long. It is one, two, three. It is 4 pages. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the last chapter. This is chapter 26 of The River Between. Even Woah I was affected by that great hush that fell over the land. He could hear his heart beat, and he told himself, I must not fear. And he stood at a raised piece of ground and looked at the people, at their expectant face and eyes. Salvation should come from the hills, and he saw that many people had come and had filled up the initiation ground and the slopes of the hills. Some had climbed the trees. A man shall rise and save the people in their hour of need, and remember his father and Mugawa Kibiro, Wachioro, Kumiri, Kikoyo, and Mombi. And he remembered Kirinyaga, as he had seen in that great day with his father. I will look up into the hills from whence cometh my help. Woah I prayed that the cold fear that settled in his stomach be removed. Camino and Mikuyu seemed to be staring at him, ready to pounce on him. He shall show them the way, he shall lead them. Woah I realized all too suddenly that this was the hour, the great hour of need. The tribe needed him now. Nimrod needed him now, and he needed himself too. Kobuni was a destructive element. He did not know the way, but Woah I was ready, there to move together with the people, to grow up in the dark maybe, but together searching for the light, looking for the way. And he remembered this was the piece of ground on which he had shed his blood. That too had been an oath, and he was now prepared to defend that soil. He began to speak. At first he made a small speech, thanked the people for coming, asked them to bear with him. He had been stunned by recent development in the hills, hatred and rivalry such as would destroy the people. He outlined his struggles with the service of the people, especially in the now ending years. It was the year that saw the transformation of the hills, a year that had awakened the sleeping lions. He told them his attempt to get more teachers. He had succeeded, although it was a difficult task. But when he came back, he was accused by the Kiyama of being a traitor. Some people, he said, had gone out at night and were singing that he was a traitor. Let those people now stand in front of and accuse him publicly. If he had wronged the religious people, will know what to do with him. A big roar of the teacher greeted his a brief roar of the teacher greeted his brief speech. Some cried, "The teacher is right," though they did not know what he was right about or described. Let Kabuni come forward, and Kabuni stood up with dignity. Their unfinished battle was now on. This is the climax. This is peak. Like, it cannot get any better than this. Maybe it can. Let's find out. He was once a Joshua follower. Now he was the leader of the Kiyama and he lived in Makuyu. He spoke with the authority of a man who knows the secret workings, evil and good in man's heart and in the country. His big accusation was that Woah I was unclean. He had taboo. And if he continued teaching the people, there would be darkness inside the light. When a girl called Methone died because she was visited by evil spirits, Woah I had taken her to the white man's hospital in Serenia and was never cleansed. As he's pretty much repeating what he said in the last chapters. As he was a leader, his taboo had visited the tribe. It was now for the tribe to take action, for Woah I was a greater menace than the people realized. He was in league with the white man who had brought secret religion to Quinton the people while the land was being grabbed by their brothers. And taxation? Who did not know complained of the heavy taxation imposed on the man and woman? He described Woah I in many secret journeys to Srenya under the pretext of getting more teachers for the people. When the Kiyama said that people shall take arms against the government posts, Woah I opposed this and cried, education, education. Will education give us back our land? Let him answer that. He sat down. Woah I noticed that Koboni had carefully avoided any mention of Joshua or Nyambura. Why? He thought he too will avoid dragging in the name of Nyambura, but he will speak of unity now or he will never get another chance. Koboni's speech had been greeted with a stony silence and then murmuring. The sun was slowly going down. Woah I was calm and compelling. His eyes shone and anger began to stir in him. For now, he knew without any doubt that Koboni was determined to see his ruin. What does Koboni want? He asked. Who first followed the white man and embraced the new faith? Who betrayed the tribe when Makuyu and Camino and the other rages could have risen in arms against the white man? He turned to the people in the simple words reminded them of their story. It was before Agu and Agu, in the beginning of things, that Murungu the creator gave rise to Kikuyu and Mumbi, father and mother of the tribe. He made them stand on the holy ground on top of Kirinyaga and showed them all the land. You remember what he told them, the great promise that he gave to our ancestor. This land I give you, O men and women, it is yours to till, you and your prosperity. The land was fertile, and in it grew all the fruits and honey. And honey was there in plenty. When he brought them to Camino, they still saw the land was beautiful. They were happy and content in their hearts, follow Marungu to Mukuruwe, Wagatenga, where he kept them. And now we, who are the descendant of the 9 daughters of Gikoyu and Mumbi, are torn with strife and rivalry. He spoke of the great heroes of the tribe and mentioned Demi, Namathati, Ruchiori, Muguwakibero, and Kimiri. He told them the great victories that these heroes had over the Maasai and other enemies of the tribe. It is because they were united that such great victories were possible. People stood together in the hour of need, giving one another the warmth of their contact, the strength of their blood. He told them about Muguwakibero and his prophecy that there would come a people with clothes like butterfly, but people rejected him, and when the white men came, jealousy stood between Camino and Mikuyu. You will not come together, and you left the white man alone. Now, instead of learning his way and coming together so that united we may drive him out, Koboni and a few others cry for vengeance against Joshua and his follower. That is what I have come to tell you today. We are all children of Mumbi, and we must fight together in one political movement, or else we perish and the white man will always be on our back. Can a house divided against itself stand? No, they roared in unison. We must stand together. We must end the ancient rivalry. People seemed moved. And when he sat down, they rose, and as if one was shouted, the teacher, the teacher. And when Kabuni stood up to speak, people began to press the word Kabuni, as if animated with a desire to tear him into pieces. And they would have done it if they might not have done the end of threats to their teacher. But for Reiki, who stopped the crowd, no, no, he shouted, do not touch him. It was as if Reiki at that moment realized that Kabuni and the Kiyama were also in their way an expression of something felt and desired by the tribe. They listened to their teacher, their savior, if they will say, we shall never give up. And Kinyuthia thought of moving forward and giving a warning to Reiki. But the big fear settled on him, weakened his knees so that he did not move from where he sat. Instead, he sought to hide himself in the crowd as if he did not want to be identified with the teacher. As for Reiki, he was amazed because he did not know that he had such power over the people. He could not even listen to what Kabuni was saying over the break with the mission and about purity. It was only when Kabuni mentioned something about the oath of Reiki he grew attentive, and he found that every other person was attentive to Kabuni, who now spoke in a broken voice full of grief. To break oath was one of the most serious crimes a man could commit. Such a passion was doomed to destruction. People knew Reiki had taken oath given to Kiyama never to commit to contaminate the tribe with impurity and to never reveal secrets of Kiyama, secret which involved the political destiny of the hills. So when Kabuni said that Reiki had broken an oath, people roared and said, no, how could they believe it? How could they believe that Reiki was in lake with Joshua and the discussion to reach? They began shouting, no. Reiki remembered Yambura at home and he felt afraid. He wanted to go back to his hut and see if she was safe. Then he wondered about Kinuthia. He had not seen him at the meeting. Maybe he was with Yambura. He felt relief and had Kabuni next word. I can prove to you beyond any doubt that he is a Joshua's man in spite of his oath. They cried, proof, proof. He waited a confession to die and then said he is marrying his daughter. Another hush fell over the land before they said no, not the teacher. And Reiki trembled slightly and waited, fearing yet did not know what he feared. He wanted to rise and speak to the people and tell them that Nyambura and how he had gone to rescue her, but his knees failed him and saw Nyambura in the gathering twilight, brought by Kamo and two other young men. She was made to stand before the people. Let him deny her. Kabuni threw the challenge, which went bouncing on people's ears, to Makoyu and Kamino to the trays, impatiently waiting, and the bell did not make any noise, and Hanya River on the flowing through the wave like throbbing, murmuring an unknown song. And the people shouted. Okay, you know what this? Okay, before I go any further, you know what this reminds me of? There's this show on Netflix, right? I think it's called They Could Not Handle This, or it's called No One Wants This, right? It's about a rabbi that wants to marry a shatsa. A shatsa is pretty much an unclean woman. I said that name wrong, by the way. I think Shitsa. Said it wrong, but yeah, she's pretty much an unclean woman. And the rabbi was put in a similar situation where he was given a choice to choose the woman or religion. At first, he chose the religion, which he deeply hated that. He deeply hated the choice that he made. So he went back and chose the woman. And I swear to God, if it's the same thing that is happening here, there's one page left of this book. If it's the same thing that's happening, I'm gonna go cry in the corner. You see where that mirror is? I'm gonna go cry in that corner there. Let's continue. And the people shouted the oath, as if they were warning their teacher. Reiki stood up and his eyes met those of Nyambura, and he remembered her on this very ground at time when she was praying alone. It was the day he'd first held her in his arm. She looked beautiful now. She looked like a lamb on an altar of sacrifice, and Reiki knew that he could no longer deny her. that he could not go back to his love for her. There was a long silence. People held their breath. Ryaki thought of making a speech. Then the thought was bouncing away from him. Instead, he could only hear the challenge. Kiboni, how could he deny her now? How? He shook her. He took her arms. And the silence that followed was oppressive, and Yambura felt a warmth and assurance that drove away her doubts. They compensated her for the suffering of the day. How could she have doubted the teacher? Even Ryaki felt a new strength which drove away the bitter thoughts of why he had taken the oath. Okay. He did not deny her. Which is great. Great news. 10 out of 10. Ryaki, I love you. Yet, the oath did not say that he shall not love. And that was what he wanted to tell people, but as he tried to open his mouth, one woman screamed the oath, and the cry was taken over by the other people. An outlet of oppressive feeling was burdening them. How could their teacher betray them? How could he work for the togetherness and purity of the tribe, and then marry a girl who was not circumcised? How could he do this to them? Ryaki tried to silence them, but they would not listen. They only cried the oath, and their cry was echoed in the forest. And how could he tell them now that he had not betrayed them? But this was not what he meant by unity. That he was not in the league with Joshua. How could he tell them that he meant to serve the hills? That he meant to lead them into a political movement that would shake the whole country, that would tell the white men go. He looked beyond and saw the children. He had helped in their thirst of learning the teacher who were coming, Kinuthia, and he wondered, where's Kinuthia? And then, in doubt, a doubt that shook him for a few minutes of agonized silence. Had Kinuthia betrayed him? Had Kinuthia been leagued with Kibuni? An elder sister stood up. Ryaki could not hear what he was saying, for his mind was full of many thoughts and doubts that came and went. Ryaki and Yamura would be placed in the hands of Kiyama, who would judge them and decide what to do. It was the best thing, and the crowd roared back. Yes, as if the burden of judging their teacher were removed for them. They went away quickly, glad that he was hidden by the darkness, but they did not want to look at the teacher, and they did not want to read their guilt in one another's face. Neither did they want to speak to one another, for they knew full well what they had done to Ryaki, and yet they did not want to know. The land was now silent. The two ridges lay side by side, hidden in the darkness, and Honya River went on flowing between them. Down through the valley of life, it beats rising above the dark stillness, reaching into the heart of the people of Mukuyu and Camino. What? Wait, what? Wait. Wait. It's done. The book ends. Oh my god, my eyes are getting watery. My eyes are getting watery, bro. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, focus on me. This handsome face here. Oh, it's taking forever, but any day now. Perfect. It ended. Wow. On one hand, it's great that they were together. You know, oh my god, I can't think. My eyes are getting watery. I'm sorry. The people betrayed him. They did not see the vision. They betrayed him. Oh my god. I'm never touching this book ever again. Never touching this book ever again. As you see this book will remain closed till the end of time. I'm not opening this book ever again. this thing put me in my feelings. It made me think that they would be together happily ever after. Oh my god, this is exactly like La La Land. I just realized it is so similar to La La Land. Wow. Okay. This book, amazing. I'm never touching this book again. But what do you guys think? Okay, how do you feel about this book? Cause this book is over. I cried. Oh, let me take that back. My eyes got watery, but I sincerely enjoyed this book. It was really great recommendation by one of you guys, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty high ranked when I decided to rank all the books that I've read. They're all up there, by the way. I have like an entire shelf just sitting there looking at me. But yeah, my name is Yvonne. This was book by Yvonne, and this is the completion of The River Between by Gugiwa Jongo. I hope you guys enjoy and look forward to my next videos. As always, have a good day and be good people. Bye.